Alright guys, so the purpose of this video was because I went to get a brake controller installed on the truck, do a new upgrade because it needs a brake controller, and they wanted $350 to connect 4 wires. $350 to connect 4 wires. The brake controller was 200 bucks. That was 500 bucks. So I looked it up online. I realized just how easy it was. And I think that for most of you people that might be afraid to do this, this would be a good video for you to see just how easy it is. Now, I didn't go into detail of how it's done. It's simple 4 wires. One's a ground, one's a hot. One runs to the brake, and you have one single wire that runs all the way to the trailer connector in back of the truck into one of the blades. And that is how simple it is. So it's not the fact that I didn't want to pay and support our local trailer places. Right now, it's just too expensive to support our local trailer places. So I did it myself. So hopefully this video will give you some insight of just how easy it is. And if you need one, then you'll see how easy it is just to do it yourself. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. All right, so now that you've heard my story, I started to get started on this, and I started thinking, most people don't want to spend that kind of money either. Let me show them how easy it is to put in a brake controller with power going to the 7-pin and power brakes hooked up also. Now, I will say that you can put a 20 amp circuit breaker, and I don't have it yet. I'm going to mount it right here. I've got my negative and I've got my positive, and all of that's going to go directly to the battery on these side studs. It is a top post, but I'm going to put it on the side stud, so it's going to have a negative and positive going directly to the brake controller, not to the frame or anything else. And I'm going to have a 30 amp circuit breaker. Now, you can use a 20 amp circuit breaker if you're only going to run 1 to 2 axles for brakes, or you want to put in a 30 if you're going to run 1 to 4 axles for brakes, depending on how big of a trailer you're pulling. I started thinking, well, I have a trailer. I've only got one set of axles on it with brakes on it, so that puts me in the 1 to 2 category. I'm just going to get a 20 amp circuit breaker. I went ahead and got a 30. The book also calls for a 20 or a 30, whichever one you prefer, because I don't know if I'll ever pull a buddy's trailer or an RV or anything with 4 brakes, and might need that 30 amp circuit breaker. So you might as well go with a 30 amp circuit breaker. There's my 7-way right here. I don't have brakes to it, and I don't have auxiliary power, and I don't have a backup light wire going to it. And I'm going to make that fully functional because I'm going to put backup lights on the trailer itself. I am using my Wi-Fi crimpers. I am crimping everything that goes under the dash, and I'm soldering everything that goes underneath the truck. So anything that's going to get wet or anything is going to be used by a glued wire sleeve, which I have quite a few of. Shrink tubing, I'm sorry. So I have plenty of different sizes of those. Here are the Wi-Fi's. I do have a video on this if you want to see it. These are super great. And I am also using the Wagner heat gun. This thing I think goes to 1,000 degrees. I have a video on this if you want to watch it, but this thing rocks. And especially when you have that little tip on there, this thing rocks. So I will be using the Kenosha Prodigy P3, which is the newest one out. This is for 1 to 4 axles, plug and play. This is the best one that I found to use in the truck. And when I say the best one I found, this is the best looking one also. The only thing I will tell you that I don't like about it, it's awesome. When it lights up, it looks good too. It doesn't look good with the bracket. It doesn't look good anywhere you're going to put it on the outside. I think it looks like crap. It's going to look horrible and so forth. So if you guys seen my other videos, this is going to be part 1. This is just going to be the full install. If you see my other videos, you know how I like to modify stuff. Here's my positive coming from the battery, and here's my negative coming directly from my battery. This is the harness that comes with the controller. And I don't know if I can do this. This just plug and play. That's all it is, plug and play. So I've only gotten as far as grabbing the positive and negative wire for the battery, and on the harness I've put in crimp-on terminals. I believe these are the males, the male side. I'm sure there's a name for them. And they're different sizes. So the black is your power. And this is look, for $350 to install this, I'll do it myself. I don't care, but this is how easy it is. The red goes to your brake, which is going to be the white wire. As soon as you touch the brake, you're going to have power. This is the one you want for your brakes. That's red. Your white, that's the ground. That's going to go to a ground. You can ground it anywhere you want. You don't have to run it directly to the battery. That's just my preference. This thing's going to work like a champ. I know I'm not going to have any issues as long as I have the positive, negative to negative directly to the battery, and then the rest going where they're supposed to. So you got the white for the ground, the red for the brake, the blue, this is the brake underneath your dash for the pedal. Then your blue, you run this all the way to your 7-pin connector to the back where your trailer adapter plugs into. And then once again, you have your black for power, which is a thick wire. I think this is probably 10 gauge. Oh, it's 12 gauge. So these are 12 gauge. And then these two are real small. And even though the black or the white is the negative, I still have a 12 gauge. Well, this is probably a 10 gauge. We'll call it a 12 gauge. Run into the battery is two 12 gauge wires. So that's how easy it is. Just run your own wire. Spend $30 on wire and put it together yourself. $350. That's crazy. And I know companies have overhead and you have to be able to pay, you know, you're paying their technicians, you're paying for their light, you're paying for their rent. And I support that. But right now, the way things are, I'm not supporting $350 when I need a brake controller. The brake controller alone was $200. $200 freaking dollars for a brake controller. And even if you buy the cheaper looking models for $70, I said, man, why buy a cheap one when you can just get a good, nice, expensive one? So this does have a lot of features. You know, I'll have the rest of this on part 2, but this is going to be the installation. So also I was saying, it looks horrible anywhere you want to mount this on the truck. It just looks horrible. So I'm going to do a custom install, folks. That's right. You know me. A custom install. I'm going to put it in the ashtray. Now I'm going to modify this and I'm going to make it work for the face to work perfectly. And so when I need to use my brake controller, all I have to do is flip down my ashtray. So it'll be permanently inside. Yes, it's going to be deeper. Yes, it's going to be more in the middle. It's not done yet. I'm just giving you an outlook of what I'm doing. And that's it. So you won't be able to see no controllers, no nothing, no gadgets hanging off the dash. I want to keep it as clean as I can. And that's the perfect place for it. I was going to put it in the glove box, but I think it's going to be super cool. I don't smoke. I don't need the ashtray. So, and I'm going to relocate the power source. So, got the battery wires ran. Got the harness wires with their little terminals. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run it into the, well, I'm going to finish all the power first. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the power, and I'm going to do the ground, and then I'm going to come back and do the brake, and then I'm going to go back and run the brake for the trailer all the way to the 7-pin, and I'll show you how to do all that. Folks, there's no reason to pay. This is too easy to put on yourself. I didn't realize how easy this was to put a brake controller on yourself. So I'm not here to bash companies for charging so much to install them for you. I'm here to tell you that it's easy to put them in yourself. All right, so let's get rolling. All right, so underneath, I got my wires coming out from the firewall. I am going to put a wire loom on it. I have my positive and my negative. I'm going to have my negative on the negative and my positive on the positive. And that's going to be it for the power going directly to the brake controller. Alright, so here I'm doing the brakes. The white wire that runs to this connector that plugs into your brake so that when you hit the brake, you have power going to it, which is going to light up your brake lights. All I did was I spliced into it with the red wire. Now, how you want to splice into it is going to be your own decision, but I actually used soldering. So I soldered mine in there, and then what I'm going to do is, see if I can do it with one hand. Hold on. So I'm going to heat shrink that. Got my red wire coming off. Going to put my female boot on it. And then let me show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so here's a quick view. This is the white wire and the orange wire that runs to your brake switch. Once again, all I did was I tapped into the white wire, and as you can see, the test light is lit up. And that is because the switch is not hooked up. But if the switch was hooked up and the brake pedal was up against the switch, light goes out. Step on the brake, light goes on. That's what you want. That's what's going to activate the brakes for the brake trailer. So that is correct. Let me hook this up real quick. Alright, I'm going to call it quits for now, but here you can see me with the brake switch already back on. I got it plugged into my test light. When I hit the brakes, the test light comes on. So we're done with that. So the only thing I have to run now is an auxiliary power wire from the battery all the way to the 7-pin plug, and the blue wire from the switch of the harness to the 7-pin plug in the back. Alrighty folks, so I went ahead and kind of fast forward myself instead of doing a whole video on how to put it all together, because I mean it's just so freaking easy to put one of these brake controllers on. And let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Just like on the instructions are super simple. If you can wire a stereo, you can wire this. And I'm talking about just a simple stereo, but I mean, check this out. It's like I was telling you earlier. Your black wire is your battery, your red wire is the brakes, the brake pedal, the white wire is the ground, and the blue wire is the brake, and that goes back to the trailer connector, which I know y'all know what I'm talking about. The trailer connector right here. You wire that directly to this. So as I said earlier when I was doing this, there's not really a good place to mount the controller without it looking ugly. The bracket itself was also ugly. For a $200 controller, it should have been a whole lot better than that, but it wasn't. So anyways, as you can see, there's nothing hanging. And part 2 is going to be the modification of the ashtray. And I am going to remove the actual ashtray itself, but I'm going to cut this whole part out and then make a faceplate that is going to be exactly the same as the face of the where is my box? Oh, here it is. The Prodigy P3 brake controller. So for now, it's going to take me about another week to get that thing going. For now, this is the brake controller, and whenever I want to use it, all I've got to do is grab the connector, pull it out right there. Might not be able to do this with one hand. Connect it, drop it in, and that's my temporary brake controller holder. Yeah, it's got to be straight up and down. So, and like I said, I'm probably only use it once or twice maybe like this because I need this ASAP, but I am going to make that faceplate. I'll see if I can't do a video with me hooking up and pulling. But I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the clean wires. I need to put my little cover back up under the column. And looks like it automatically turns off, but it turns on anytime you turn the key on because you got power going straight to it. See that? And it'll even tell you there's no trailer connected. So until you hook something up, and then if you just hit the, it'll show you the setup, and then it'll just go back to the regular screen of what it's actually supposed to be. But let me also show you what I did underneath. There you go. That's the face you get all the time when it's connected. Let me turn it off. Now remember what I told you about using that 20 amp circuit breaker. I went ahead and used a 30 because I wasn't sure if I would ever pull a bigger trailer or a friend's trailer or a motorhome or what have you, but I ended up putting a 30 amp circuit breaker on it. I keep the battery covered because the sun hits the hood, and then the next thing you know, it's burning up the battery. But there you go. So I got power running to the circuit breaker and then power running straight to the brake controller, and then the ground here running straight to the brake controller. So there's not going to be any type of electrical issues or malfunctions or whatever, because it's going straight to the battery. And that's it. Wires are clean. I ran the wire for the brake all the way up against the frame with all the original harness that was there. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's a clean job. Came out good. And I even put my auxiliary positive cable on there, so I have power. It's called charging power, but I ran a positive from the battery straight to this, so if I have a what do they call it, a breakaway on the trailer or whatever, it'll charge the battery on the breakaway, or whatever you might want to charge on your little trailer, or whatever kind of trailer you have. But alright, that's a good step to making this thing better. Got the brake controller. I don't know what else I need to put now, maybe a stereo. I still got to put my brand new covers for the headlights. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this grill or go with a factory GM grill. Chevrolet grill, but I know these definitely need to be swapped out. I have brand new ones, I just haven't put them on yet, so I'm going to do a video on the swap anyway. But there you go, folks. Nice clean job. And when I do part 2, I'll let you guys know how this brake controller works. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.